TG Geeks, episode 39, September 21st, 2015. Who are they and why have they been fighting for 1,000 years? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre. You name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we are coming to you from TG Squared Studios in not quite the surface of the sun anymore, Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, thank you for stealing my thunder.
Well, of course.
And I'm Ben Raggington, and I was about to say that very thing, but oh well. Also in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, the weather is beginning to calm down a little bit. Finally. All right. We got some news for you today, so let's get to it.
Well, about a week or so ago, we posted a news story on our website about how, I guess it was Warner Brothers, has decided to put the halt on Pacific Rim 2, and that had a lot of people really just in a complete tizzy. The movie did not do so great. I mean, it was a moderate box office hit in the U.S., but it did just bang up numbers overseas, especially in China, if I remember right.
It was a reasonable film. I mean,
it's not a bad movie. It's actually a very good film. The problem, I think, if there is one, is that Guillermo del Toro has such a really a specific kind of vision for all of the movies that he makes that it, in many cases, I think it only reaches out to a niche audience. So I think it kind of falls outside of maybe some people's general interests, but that doesn't make the movies bad. I think they're actually quite strong. Well, in light of the fact that Warner's had said that they're not doing Pacific Rim 2, that it's been stopped indefinitely, Guillermo did actually come out and say that he's still working on it, despite the stories that the movie had been indefinitely halted. And he said, we're still turning in a screenplay and a budget in 3 weeks' time. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not gone. We're still on it. It moved further. I am personally actually very excited about this. Now, there had been some talk, and this is very interesting given the fact that I guess it was Legendary Pictures who did Godzilla, recently said that it looks like that their new movie is going to be Godzilla versus King Kong. There has been some talk. Guillermo very much wants one of the monsters that his robots have to go up against to be Godzilla. He's definitely pushing for that. Personally, that would just geek me out in a really big way, more so than a Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah, I mean, well, they could put, well, heck, they put Godzilla and everything else. Why
I know.
not?
It's just a matter.
Why not?
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting the rights. And if right now, I think there's maybe some talk about maybe even moving the property of Pacific Rim to maybe another distribution studio. Who knows? Just have to kind of wait and see on that. Personally, I really don't think he should halt on that. But then the guy's got such a huge plate. I mean, he's still working on Haunted Mansion. He's still got that on his list. And right now, if you ask me, if there's any one movie that I really want to see him do, it's Haunted Mansion more than anything else. I'm just jazzed about that.
Yeah.
In any case, moving on, oddly enough, to another Disney property, now that I mentioned that, Bryan Singer is going to be doing a remake. And I'm saying remake, not reboot, because it's not a reboot. I'm calling it a remake of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Apparently, this is something that he really wants to do.
A remake.
He posted
Under the Sea.
Yeah, he posted on Instagram a picture of a script, and on Instagram he said, "It's my 50th birthday, ouch, and I just put the finishing touches on the script for my next film, a story I've wanted to retell since childhood. I promise this will be an epic and emotional adventure for all ages, an adventure very dear to my heart, not abandoning the X-Men universe. Very excited about X-Men Apocalypse and Beyond," but then he wrote hashtag Jules Verne, hashtag 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, hashtag Nemo. And if you want to see this story, go to the
Finding Nemo.
Did it say Finding Nemo?
No.
Just hashtag Nemo.
Oh. So let's go find Nemo.
now what? Well, now hang on a minute. Now
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Finding Nemo.
Well, Disneyland does have their Finding Nemo submarine ride.
Yeah.
So
well, they could reinvent that since they were talking about closing it now. They could reinvent it as 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea again.
Well, only if Guillermo del Toro does it.
Well,
then it might work. Then you might be able to pull it off. In any case, if you want to see more on the story and if you want to see the Instagram comment from Brian, we have that on our website. You can see that in the show notes, which will be at tggeeks.com. Now, moving on, going back to Warner's and going back to something that we've been kind of
back to Warner.
Well, back to Warner Brothers, something they were kind of complaining about. And this is how there seems to be these two separate universes when it comes to their DC comic properties. You've got your television, and then you've got your movies. So everybody's really been kind of like B&M. Marvel has done such a great job at blending their television and their movie properties. So everybody's wondering, what about your DC stuff here, guys? What are you going to be doing? Well, that's pretty much how it went. The president of Warner Brothers Consumer Products and the president chief content officer at Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment has been saying that they're going to be keeping the TV and the film universes separate. Yeah, I think so too. Now, the person at Warner's, I guess, they said that in an attempt to emulate the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be that would be like handcuffing their creators into trying. Well, yeah, tell that to them. Handcuffing them and trying to work with the same storyline or force them to hold back characters or introduce certain characters. Ultimately, it hinders the ability for someone like showrunner Bruno Heller to come up and create Gotham. Really?
I don't think so.
I'm sorry.
We talked about this when that article came out, and the problem is nobody at Warner has a vision for DC. That's the problem.
Absolutely agreed. And the person at Warner's even admits that the Marvel One Universe strategy has worked beautifully. Okay, there it is.
It's because Kevin Feige has a vision.
He really has this big, grand idea on how everything can work. And I'm sorry, I do not buy this notion that by trying to create the synergy, the TV movie one single universe idea, I don't believe for a second that it is going to hinder the filmmakers. Not in any sort of way. This is a very PC way of Warner's saying that their TV department and their movie department have complete autonomy. They can each do whatever they want, and neither one has to work with the other. That is the whole nature of Warner Brothers.
Yep.
They don't have to answer to, of course, Warner owns DC, so DC doesn't have to answer to the television department, nor do they have to answer to the movie department. I mean, there's no communication between each of these divisions. They all work very independently of each other. And in some cases, I would say that's a really great idea, but there are times where it seriously backfires.
Yep.
This is one of them. I know that Joe Straczynski has complained about it greatly when it comes to Babylon 5.
Babylon 5?
Yeah, Babylon 5. Yeah, he's had a really bad problem in terms of trying to advance that property because the movie division, they don't have anything to do with the television division, which owns the TV series. At the same time, he's had problems with the books because that's under the book division of Warner Brothers. So there's just this incredible nightmare. If you're trying to advance something on a grander scale, then you have problems like we're seeing here. So I think it's just garbage. I'm not happy with it. Be that as it may, moving right along.
Yep.
Onto something which I know is going to make my husband very happy. Bye-bye, Clara. Yeah, Jenna Louise Coleman, she's leaving Doctor Who. And the reason she's doing it is she has just been hired to play the part of, I believe it's Queen Victoria
Yes.
for ITV.
And just for our audience who don't know my feelings about that, it's nothing against the actress. It is the character and the way that character has been written. I think the actress is a fabulous actress.
Agreed.
I think she does her job.
Yeah. I think she's a fantastic
Everybody
actress.
hates her character, but she does her job.
Yeah.
I just had to throw that in there.
Gotta think about that one for a minute. Yeah, she's anyway. She was just hired to play the Victorian monarch in a £10 million ITV, and I'm talking pounds as in currency, ITV drama, and she will reportedly play the monarch from when she became queen at the young age of 18 through the early years of her 63-year reign. So the story is that she is now going to be, she will be leaving the show prior to the Christmas special. That's what we're seeing right now. Like I said, I'm kind of happy about it because, and I agree with you, I don't like the way she's written, especially in the first season that she had with Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have anything really heavy to go on right now because Doctor Who just started, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But what we saw last season was highly disappointing in terms of her characterization.
Yes.
And so I think the idea of getting rid of Clara is probably a good idea for the show. Bring in a new companion, bring in somebody fresh. Maybe this can help re-energize the TV series because what they're doing with her right now is a bad idea. Anyway, if you want to see more about this story about her leaving the show, this story is in our show notes, so you can catch it there at tggeeks.com.
And we'll be back.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
And here are a few selected birthdays for September 7th through September 20th. Yes, we are catching up here from the birthdays that we didn't do last week. September 14th, Clayton Moore was born in 1914. You know who Clayton Moore is?
Who is that masked man?
Yes, there you go. And Walter Koenig is 79 on September 14th. September 15th, Prince Harry is 31. Oh, my God.
What? Oh, my God.
Can you believe it?
No, I can't, but boy, does he look amazing.
Yeah, he had his birthday beard, too. They had a photo of him somewhere. Had a birthday beard.
Yeah, he's got that ginger beard going
Yep,
on, and
exactly.
he's attracted the attention of a lot of gay men.
Ginger beard, not ginger beer.
Beard. I said beard, yes.
Beer. Beard.
Pop beard? Ginger
Pop?
beard?
Okay, enough of that. September 15th also is Tom Hardy is 38. Tommy Lee Jones is 69. And Fay Ray was born in 1898.
Wow.
Can
King
you
Kong.
believe- Absolutely. When was that film? King
That
Kong
was 1931, I want to say.
Yeah, so wow. Yeah, Fay Ray, 1898. September 16th, Peter Falk would have been 87. Ed Begley Jr. is 66 on September 17th. John Ritter would have been 66. What a loss. And Bancroft would have been 83. One of the longest relationships in Hollywood was Anne Bancroft and
Mel Brooks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Roddy McDowell would have been 87. September 18th, June Foray was 98.
She's
Can
still,
you-
she's still
Yeah,
working.
Is she really?
I believe she is
Oh my
still
God.
providing voices here and there.
Wow.
I mean,
That's-
obviously not at the same kind of work schedule that she had before, but I seem to have read that she still goes into studio every now and then and provides a voice here and there.
How about that? Isn't that amazing?
God bless her. She's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh my gosh. September 19th, Jimmy Fallon is 40. Adam West. Who is that masked man? Again. 86.
Who is that cowled man? More like it.
Exactly. And speaking of cowls, David McCallum. Oh, that's McCallum, not McCallum.
I'll have some scotch. I'll have some scotch with that.
It's 81. Paul Williams is 75. And September 20th, George R.R. Martin is 66. Better get to writing before you die there, bud.
No kidding.
Before the series ends, actually.
Well,
Before the series dies.
Well-
They kill you.
oh, now wouldn't that be irony?
They kill the writer. Well, stranger things have happened.
On that show, yes.
September 21st, Bill Murray is 64. Stephen King is 67. Chuck Jones would have been 103.
Good God.
He died when he was like 96, though.
That's true.
Yeah,
He did last a long time.
And Herbert George Wells, H.G. Wells, was born in 1866 on September 21st.
I actually remember hearing him being interviewed with, oh my God, all of a sudden the name just went right out of my head. But War of the Worlds, the radio broadcast.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah.
Anyway, God, I'm amazed that the name just went right out of my head. I'm embarrassed. But it was very interesting to actually hear him being interviewed as a result of that radio broadcast, that infamous broadcast from so long ago.
Yeah. And September 22nd, it looks like I missed something on September 22nd.
Oh, no.
Oh, did I miss?
Nobody was born on September 22nd. Nobody
had
had a birthday on September 22nd.
Anyway, if we miss some, I will come back to it. Let's see. September 23rd, Bruce Springsteen is 65.
The boss.
September 24th, Jim Henson would have been 78.
You know, I cried when I heard the news.
Oh, I know.
I really did. I just sat down and cried because he's been so much a part of our childhood and even our young adulthood with The Muppet Show.
Yeah. Brad Bird is 57. September 25th, Will Smith is 46. Mark Hamill is 63. Christopher Reeve would have been 63.
There's another one that I'm very, very sad about.
Michael Douglas is 70, and Catherine Zeta-Jones is 45.
Same birthday. Go one. Just wow.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
25 years apart. September 25th, Barbara Walters is 85. And on September 26th, I put this one in there for you, my dear, Olivia Newton-John is 66.
I actually got to talk to her on the radio.
Oh, that's cool.
She is such a sweetheart, and she takes such beautiful care of her voice that she can still sing those beautifully high soprano notes that she did when she was much younger.
Far out.
Fabulous.
Also, on September 26th, Jack LaLanne would have been 100 years old. He just died a couple of years ago.
It's not that long ago.
He lasted a long time. God,
yeah, he did.
I remember my mother used to watch that.
Oh, so did
program.
mine. I know.
God.
It was an institution.
I was like in diapers. I remember watching the damn thing.
Yeah.
And September 27th, Wilford Brimley is 80. And we talked about this earlier. It seems like I thought he was dead.
Here's the weird thing. Here's the weird thing. I mean, we talked about how, and no offense to Wilford if you're listening to this in my dreams. We thought, before we even moved into this house so many years ago, we thought he died back in our previous residence, and I thought he was over 80 back then.
Exactly.
I'm embarrassed. Oh well.
Anyway. All right. Well, that should do it for the birthdays this time.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hello everybody, Jeremy here to tell you about Casual Mode with Jeremy and David, the podcast for geeks of all trades and masters of none. Every week, my best friend / little brother by spirit David and I talk about a wide variety of geeky topics, from video games and technology to pro wrestling and even sports. Yes, that's right sports fans, you're geeks too, whether you'd like to admit it or not. We also occasionally have interviews, and we go over the silliest news and dumbest tweets of the week. We're not a podcast for kids, though, as our podcast is uncensored. Our takes are raw, and if there's a topic that needs a good hard look, we're gonna give it to you. Throughout the week, we also have additional content, including Let's Plays, vlogs, and special single-topic minis that run the gamut of the topics we cover. Pro wrestling, college basketball, the competitive Pokemon scene, and so much more. So, where can you find all these wonderful things? Well, you can either check us out on the FNX network, at fnx.network, or you can check out our website, casualmodepodcast.com. We've also got links to all our various different social media outlets, such as Twitter and Facebook. And if you search Casual Mode on YouTube or iTunes, you can subscribe to us and get everything as it is posted. And of course, don't be afraid to let us know what you think by leaving comments on all of those various different outlets. We're always looking for ways to make the show better and more fun for us and for you. We hope you'll join us for Casual Mode with Jeremy and David, coming to you every week. Until next time, later y'all.
Go have a listen to Jeremy and David over at Casual Mode Podcast. Now, it's time for a buttload of listener feedback.
Well, we got quite a bit of feedback from our visit to the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival in San Diego. And of course, a lot of this is from, the people that we talked to while we were down there. So
and by the way, we had a great time. It
God,
was really such a fun time.
That really was.
I know we talked about it in the last episode, but I'm still kind of jazzing over everything that we did and the people that we met and the films that we saw and the incredible time that we had.
It was. I don't know if there's anything more that I can say except that it really was just. That was one of the most amazing times I've ever had. It makes me want to seek out. Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
probably a little bit later. Anyway, starting with Pablo Absento. What did she do again?
She did She.
She did She, the Japanese horror short.
She did She.
Yeah, she did.
Yes.
She, S-H-E, did She, S-H-I. Anyway, she writes, listen to TG Geeks Webcast episode 38. There are interviews with a lot of Horrible Imaginings Horror Film Festival of San Diego filmmakers, including me. I started talking at the 50th minute, was laughing hard when heard, quote unquote, this is my design, said by myself. I should probably slow down with the Hannibal TV show a bit, laugh out loud. Many thanks to Ben Raggington and Keith Lane. Well, Pablo,
thank you.
Thank you. It was great being able to talk to you both, on the air and off the air. It was such a joy. Then Greg Lowe emailed us and said, "Wow, thanks for the kind review and the post on Vimeo. That was great. So glad we were able to talk at the event." Now I want to take just a second here. We were the very first people who ever interviewed him.
Yeah.
He was, it turns out, a nervous wreck over that.
Yeah.
And
he just seemed so...
He seemed so calm and together. And he later commented, after he listened to it, he mentioned or emailed me and said that he couldn't imagine how we were able to make him sound so cool and thoughtful and whatever. And I remember even after we did the interview, he said that it was the easiest thing that they could have done. I mean, that we made it easy for him. So, I mean, I'm flattered in that respect. Yeah. In any case, we were happy to talk to you, Greg. And so moving right along, Pia Thrasher, who did the appointment.
The appointment, yes. I had to think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. I mean, there were so many films to look at. Anyway, she saw the review that was written in our article. And she writes, music to filmmakers' ears. Thank TG Geeks. You are the first reviewers of my short film. So glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then she also made a comment on another post talking about, she had posted that her post of our interview and talking about when she started talking, and she says, and I stumbled over my own website name. So,
oh, that's right, yeah. But hey, I mean, we kind of jumped on her about that. It was just still great talking to her.
Yeah.
This is the one that made me laugh. Horrible Imaginings themselves have their own Facebook presence, and
which is Miguel.
It's Miguel. Let's be honest. And I love what he wrote. He said, "Holy cats! TG Geeks recorded a 2-hour special episode all about Horrible Imaginings, complete with filmmaker interviews."
Now, he wrote this on Wednesday because we had released the
episode on Tuesday.
Yeah, and he was thinking we were probably going to release it the next week,
like this week or something. Yeah. I don't think he expected us to turn it around as fast as we did, and as late into the evening as we did. Oh God, we were tired.
Oh boy, yeah,
Yeah, but we got it out, and I'm so glad that he was happy with that.
absolutely.
Now I want to move on to it's another bit of feedback. This time it's from Jeff Patton, who we've spoken to, and he's the producer and all-around guru, head honcho for Origin Beyond the Impact. And as I'd written in an article, and you can see this article in our show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. I'd written an article about our visit down there. This was just before we attended day 2 of Horrible Imaginings. We had a chance to meet up with Jeff Patton and Mike and several other people from Beyond the Impact. And that's when Jeff introduced us to the music of Stephen Willing, who is a German composer who's working on the score for the next Beyond the Impact installment web series. And I just wrote a nice little update about what they're doing. And he wrote, "As always, it was a privilege. Thank you, Keith Lane and Ben Raggington, for the kind words. I'm honored to be working with the extremely talented Stephen Willing to bring BTI's original score to life. Looking forward."
Yes, the music. Wow, is just, he said, is just a rough draft.
But golly,
Oh
for
my
a
God.
for a scratch recording,
incredible. It was incredible.
I was amazed at the quality. Well, and as I wrote in my write up there, with digital technology being what it is, you can do a much better job at actually creating orchestral voices and even choir voices and giving a very, very good sense of what the overall arrangement is going to be like, and give each section of the orchestra its own digital voice with synthesizers.
Yep.
So we were able to get a very good sense of how this original thing is going to sound. But still, for a man who just did this in his own studio, I thought that what we heard was unbelievably beautiful. I mean, from
really
the
was great.
what would be the opening theme, and then there was Katie's love theme, and you're just listening to it. It just brought such emotion to us. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful.
It was really great.
Yeah.
Yep. So is that all the feedback?
That's
you have?
all the feedback
That
we
is
got.
all the feedback. And just a reminder that our Facebook profile for TG Geeks is the account that hosts our TG Geeks webcast page. So if you send a friend request, that is the two of us. And so that's the host for the webcast page. And if you like our show or even dislike it, you can comment on the Facebook page, either, well, preferably the TG Geeks webcast page, but you can leave feedback on the TG Geeks person page if you want. Or you can, on our YouTube episodes, you can comment on those. And we're at tggeeks.com on the episode page, or just comment on an article, anything that you want to comment on. We'd be glad to hear it. And you could receive a shout out, as these did earlier, in a future episode. Or you can call our listener feedback line, and we will play your comment on air at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357.
This is Mark Biaggi, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks webcast.
Okay, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about something which we just saw earlier today. And of course, by the time this episode goes out, hopefully, most of you will have seen it. So if anybody of you have not seen Doctor Who season premiere for season 9, stop listening. Move ahead. If you don't want spoilers, because we're going to talk about it.
What's that noise?
I don't know. It sounds like I'm on Skaro.
Actually, on a Dalek ship, actually.
Well, but didn't we actually hear that on Skaro itself?
That's true.
We heard that in a certain little chamber where a certain little maniacal alien was dying,
Yes.
shall we say.
Who is that masked man?
Who was that three-eyed or one-eyed electronic man?
Exactly. I don't know who. What do you want to call him?
Yeah. Who was that adult bitter man?
Exactly.
Because that's what we got. What we see here. Wow. Let's just start.
Well,
let's just start from the top of it.
Yeah, let's start from the top. I will say that I did not hate it.
No, I didn't hate it either, but I saw a posting on Facebook earlier. One of the people that I'm friends with he goes by the name of Mr. TARDIS. I believe he lives in UK. So he saw it at the same time we did, and for all of our listeners, we actually get to watch it on BBC One. We're lucky that way. In any case, he wrote, "I'm underwhelmed."
Yeah.
And I thought, he got it.
Yeah.
He absolutely nailed it. I was underwhelmed. I did not hate this. I was prepared to hate it, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah. Last year it was Antisappointment.
Oh, big time. Big time in disappointment.
And this year it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, let's start off with anything that may be in this story that you did like. Wow, that much, huh?
No, what we're hearing.
Oh. Oh, that. That's what you liked.
I
mean, just images. I mean, lines, anything. Was there anything there that you kind of at least made you smile and say, okay, that's all right?
What did I like about the episode? There wasn't anything that I really necessarily liked. Some of the Doctor's stupid jokes during the duel, shall we say, were kind of up my alley. But, other than that, there wasn't a lot. Now, the hand mines were
hand mines were creepy.
They were creepy.
Very creepy. But, keep going.
Yeah. And that's about, and the fact that we got to see Davros as a child.
Mm-hmm.
So
there have been rumors about us being able
right.
to actually seeing Davros as a young child.
Yeah, and I didn't know what kind of young child they were talking about, whether it was an infant or whether it was a what. So
how long did it take you to figure out that the child we see at the beginning of the show was Davros?
About 2 seconds.
Yeah, same. It was very, very quick. Anything? Okay, so let's go down.
That's about it. That's yeah.
Okay, so let's go down to the negative for you. What didn't you like?
Well, Clara, of course.
Did you really think she was off on this one?
She wasn't as annoying. There were her whiny moments, as Claire wrote on Facebook, but yeah.
I really didn't think she was that bad, to be honest.
She wasn't too bad. It wasn't. I did. The one thing that I didn't like was that she immediately goes into unit and takes over.
Well, yeah, that.
I mean,
it's
more of that. The companion is the hero now.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed in that.
Well, unit. To be fair, we see there is a scene where Clara is back at the school, at Coal Hill School, and she's teaching, and she gets a phone call from Unit for reasons which everybody will see once, they already know once you see the episode. Planes are stopped in the middle of the air.
Right.
And she rushes over to Unit because they need her. And why do they need her? Well, because, and this one I will actually accept, because this goes back to what I've been saying all last year. She knows the Doctor better than anybody.
Right. So
if the Doctor is missing, she can figure out where he may have gone to, because she's the only one. And I will accept this because, again, she's the impossible girl, or at least she was at one time. So she understands the Doctor's mind better than anyone, right. Even better than the new Brigadier Stewart's daughter, who's now the head of Unit. She is the only one who could actually extrapolate some kind of formula to help Unit actually track down where the Doctor may have gone to. Now, I think the method in which they tracked him down was a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a little contrived, and yeah.
But for the whole, I did not have a problem with Clara. And there's even a moment where she says, "Doctor, this is not like you." And she was actually spot on this one. She was actually quite accurate when she says, "Doctor, you're not behaving like yourself." And she was right in this particular case, because it was completely opposite from everything she had ever seen, ever experienced with the Doctor in any of his lives. So she was dead on right when she said that. So what we saw here was not this angst or questioning that I got in terms of how Clara was relating to the Doctor. So that didn't bother me. There's one thing you haven't mentioned, though, that I'm really surprised at.
The flashbacks?
No,
And the
no,
other...
no. Well, in terms of what you liked, I thought you would have liked that.
Yeah, I did. I liked the flashbacks and the visiting of some of the historic Doctor Who enemy.
Oh yeah, I mean, like
yeah.
there's a really beautiful clip where we see a segment from Genesis of the Daleks. But as somebody pointed out, all the other little bits we saw were moments where Davros was actually there. Davros was not in the room to witness what the Doctor was going to do. Although I'm going to take a little leap in logic and say that there were surveillance cameras in the hall.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how he got that recording.
Anyway, so what were you...
I was thinking you were going to pick on Missy.
Oh, well, as far as something that
What
I
you
hated,
didn't like, yeah.
She wasn't as bad.
Serious? Ooh. Okay.
I mean, her lines and her actions were credible. For the most part. Now, yeah, there was that maniacal, bit, a couple of bits, but as far as, being just a completely mad, no, I don't think that she was this time.
I still kind of got the feeling she was bonkers.
Yes, but not quite as.
Yeah, I didn't like her. I'll be honest. I did not care for her. And one thing that I'm going to say about this, everything that she says, I mean, we've talked about how everything the Doctor says is a lie, and we got that from River's song.
Well, and then we got that from
Moffat.
Well, and the Keeper of Karn, or what's her?
The High Priestess.
Yeah, the High Priestess
of Karn.
She says, "Why do you always assume that I lie?
It saves time." Yes.
And then he follows up all of her questions with a lie.
Basically, yeah. He's lying all the way through. But we really need to consider that a lot of what Missy says is utter BS. I think there might be one bit of truth to every, 5 lies that she makes. She said something in this episode which just made my hair stand up.
Oh, I know what she said.
What was it?
When she was a little girl.
Thank you! Thank you! Oh, I just went, no, you liar! Liar! Yeah, there's no way that could have happened. It falls completely outside of Doctor Who canon, but as somebody pointed out again on the thread that Mr. Tardis posted, she
Moffat
clearly
has thrown canon out.
Well, it's not just that, but apparently Missy clearly makes the case that she was indeed lying. I'll need to see that again because I don't remember her actually admitting that she made that up. So
we'll
I need to see that
again.
a second time.
Yeah, we're on our first watch at this point.
Yeah, it's only first watch. I'm going to have to watch it a second time anyway because I got to talk about it on Fusion Patrol. But yeah, I definitely need to see it a second time. But no, I did not care for her. Anyway, things that I liked. Well, not a whole heck of a lot. I liked the hand mines, but I would have liked it better if it had not been Skaro. I mean, let's think about this for a second here. This is a 1,000-year war that's been going on between the Khaleds and the Thals.
True.
And we've seen by the time of Genesis of the Daleks, it has so devolved that they're using handguns. Even though radiation with radiation badges and then animal cloth. I mean, there was just something. It was such an anachronistic setting.
Yeah.
For the war, and we're already getting some of that in the battle that we see here. Now, I am guessing that in the opening battle, what we saw were the Thals attacking the Khaleds.
Probably.
That's my guess. We're not entirely sure, but that'd be my guess only because of the fact that Davros was in the very vicinity of some other humanoids. So being that Davros, I'm assuming Dallas is a Khaled, That's my guess.
Well, yes.
I don't have. I mean, well, yeah, that's because he does defect to the Thals in Genesis. So if Davros is there, then I'm assuming that he's sort of in the midst of the Khaled army, and what we've got are biplanes.
Yes.
That the Thals have, and they're shooting lasers.
Yep.
Okay, that's interesting enough. So now let's take a look at this, and now go for this other sort of weapon that the Thals have somehow managed to create, the hand mines. For some reason, the tech, any kind of tech that is involved in the creation of this kind of weapon seems out of place.
Yeah, and the doctor makes mention of that, and that's why. And I'm going to throw something out here that I think that whole scenario was BS.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's the scenario that we wind up with at the end of the episode, where the doctor may have chosen to leave, but he did come back, is the real episode, or he moved. That's the real continuity. I think the other one was not.
We'll have to wait till part 2 to see about that.
Because I still say, we go back, if you want to follow canon, if you want, and I realize this is conjecture at this point and trying to read Moffat's mind.
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't have a crystal ball. But I think that he will still follow what Tom Baker's doctor did. I mean, he would not destroy Davros.
Well, okay, I'll give you that. I totally agree with you on that. As far as just
he wouldn't abandon.
Oh, no. Well, now let's okay. So what we have at the beginning of the episode is a bit where the doctor, Peter Capaldi's doctor, and again, Peter's doctor, he sort of falls outside the regular timeline of the doctor because he's additional regeneration. Thank you, Time Lords. But he is, in essence, the creator of Davros, as we know Davros to be today. Apparently, my guess is that somehow he left Davros in the original timeline. Or actually, no, you know, I'm going to go further than that. I'm going to say in the original timeline, the doctor never showed up.
It's possible, yeah.
He was never there.
And maybe that's why.
And that's why Davros then falls into the pit.
And is deformed.
Right. And then at some point, the doctor, now in this new series of regenerations, goes back and actually alters the timeline a little bit simply by interfering, by simply making his presence known. The result is still the same.
Fixed point in time.
You know, it could be that fixed point in time kind of thing. Yeah. But he simply makes his presence known, tosses the sonic screwdriver so that he and the young Davros can then communicate, and then he buggers off. He just completely bugs off, and the result ends up being the same with one new addition, and that is Davros now has this new memory. And we've seen this kind of thing happen before in past Doctor Who episodes where the Doctor has interfered in the past and people's present-day memories then get changed.
Yeah.
So that's not a new idea. It has been done. So I think you're kind of onto something. I think maybe the Doctor kind of interfered with time, and now he's at the very end of this part 1. We get what I think is the biggest red herring, and that kind of
herring.
Yes, and that is where the Doctor appears to aim a weapon at the young Davros in an attempt to kill him.
Yeah, I don't think that's...
I don't think he's going to do that. That is the biggest misdirection. And I'm going to go on record and say I think he is actually going to destroy the hand mines in a way so that he can save the young child, maybe in the hopes of altering Davros in the future into a kinder, gentler Davros.
True. That's possible.
That is what I think he's going to do. And if he does that, I mean, on the surface, I would say that's a really noble idea, but if you want to start looking at the entire Doctor Who canon, that could really retcon much of the entire series.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of the Daleks, in terms of the Time War.
The whole 50 years of Doctor Who.
Exactly. And if it alters the Time War, then does it alter what happened to Gallifrey in Day of the Doctor? I mean, there is so much to consider, so many ramifications by this one decision that the Doctor is about to make. Whether he kills young Davros, which I don't believe he would do, because I don't believe the Doctor is that heartless.
Yeah, I don't either.
Especially given the wonderful scene we got, that beautiful flashback from Tom Baker's Genesis of the Daleks. Is,
Yeah,
if you knew a child, and you knew he was going to be the most dangerous person in the universe, could you kill that child? And the Doctor was basically saying, no, I can't.
Yep.
So I don't believe that I don't believe he's actually going to do that. As far as going back to the hand mines themselves and the very nature of them as a weapon, again, I think this is one of these things where Moffat thought, ooh, wouldn't that be creepy? But then didn't really think about how this kind of fits in the overall world of Skaro and their whole evolution, de-evolution of that Thal, the Khalid Thal War for all those thousands of years.
And that's been part of the problem of the new Who is they come up with, oh, wouldn't that be cool? And let's just slap it in there. And then they don't think about the ramifications of history and canon or anything else. And then we're left with this mess.
Which tells me that they don't take their audience that seriously. And I find that annoying.
Well, their older audience, let's put it that way.
Well, that's true. Yeah, and actually that'd be a very interesting question. I wonder what the Whovian demographic is. Old audience versus new. I mean, we know people that are close to our age who are loving the series as it is. Okay, well, be that as it may. Maybe they didn't watch the show when it was on its first run.
There's something wrong with them.
I would agree. I've already spoken about Clara. I don't have a problem with her. Missy drove me crazy. Again, I don't like this. I think she was bonkers.
Yes, she was. She was crazy, but I don't think as crazy as the previous episode.
Well, she'd start. I don't know. I'm still having just a hard time wrapping my head around her. I mean, she just really bothers me. Maybe she wasn't quite as bananas and crackpot as we saw last year, but what we got just did not really appeal to me all that much in today's. So, and again, she's just a big fat liar. I'm sorry, Missy. I hate to tell you, but your dress is on fire. I hate to admit it to you. And things like, how the heck did she get the Doctor's last will and testament? Because don't tell me for 1 second that the Doctor still regards her as his closest friend. Don't believe it for a second.
Maybe she stole it from the Keeper of Karn.
Well, that may be. There's that whole thing in the prologue where the Doctor gives his will and testament to the High Priestess. So there's a big question. How did Missy get her hands on it? I do not believe for a second that the priestess gave it to the master, Missy. I don't believe it for a second. No. So we'll have. I guess we're going to wait until part 2 to find out.
I guess we'll have to.
Yeah, we'll have to. One other little thing that I thought was kind of cute. I have a love-hate relationship with it, and that is the Doctor coming in on a tank during the jousting era in England, playing a rock guitar. Now, it was funny because Peter Capaldi was in a band years ago with Craig Ferguson. They were in a punk band, so what we saw was Peter actually playing the guitar, which I liked.
But then again, that whole scene was, and Missy says it, anachronistic.
It's very anachronistic, and yes, and
because then we see that the person that he's, dueling with is one of those hybrid Daleks.
That is true.
So whether that's a real scene out of that time period or it's, plunked down into that time period, let's put that way.
I think that it really happened in that time period. Again, I had this really weird feelings about it. It was funny to kind of watch, but at the same time, it just felt like this is not the Doctor. And Clara nailed it when she said, "This is not you."
Yeah.
I mean, she even made, I think she made references to past times where the Doctor thought he was really going to die. And we've seen past episodes where the Doctor really thought he was going to die, and he did some pretty outlandish things, but nothing that bizarre.
Yeah.
So what's motivating the Doctor to behave in this particular way is what I cannot seem to understand. Why is he so terrified of facing Davros? Obviously, he knows that Davros wants to see him.
And my question is, if he, I thought he was given a new regeneration cycle.
He was given a new regeneration cycle. This
So-
is regeneration number 1.
I know. So why are we even considering this last will and testament thing?
Somehow, I mean, we have seen that there is evidence that a Time Lord can be killed and not regenerate if it's done right. So, that just creates a whole. I just realized there is a really, really, really bad paradox regarding Matt Smith. Impossible astronaut.
Yeah.
He was about to regenerate, but if Matt Smith's Doctor was the last of his regenerations, then he should not have been able to start the regeneration cycle. Oops! Ha ha! Moffat, caught you. Continuity error. Bad boy. But in any case, you are right about that. Now, I think the Doctor is afraid that there's going to be some kind of execution whereby he would not be able to regenerate from.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can consider. But why would he even think that?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Why is he so terrified of facing Davros?
Yeah. I mean, he's faced Davros.
Numerous times. And he's always been victorious in some fashion or another.
And
Why?
Davros is dying.
Exactly. What has he got to be so scared of?
Not quite on his game.
No. And why was he so freaked out when he realized they were on Skaro?
Yeah, and why was Missy so freaked out to realize they were on Skaro?
Well, Missy, I can sort of get. She's never the Master in any of his regenerations. I don't think has ever been to Skaro.
But it was more than just being on Skaro. There was something else there.
Actually, I take that back. In the Paul McGann movie, the Master was tried on Skaro
Oh, true. Yeah.
and found guilty. Why he was
Oh,
tried on
yeah.
Skaro, I'll never
Interesting.
know.
I'm wondering if they're reaching back into that.
And I'm wondering if there isn't
That
some kind of
fear.
connection with that.
Yeah.
So there may be something there. Maybe that's why Missy is so terrified about being on Skaro.
Interesting.
Who
yeah.
knows? But yeah, Missy was terrified. Clara has no reason to be terrified. She has
She
no
has
real.
clue what
Well,
who
she has
Skaro-
she
what
has no
Skaro
memory
is.
of her time in Asylum of the Daleks when she was Oswin.
Yeah.
She has no clue. So there's a lot of very unanswered questions, and I'm afraid they're going to remain unanswered.
Yeah.
I mean,
As always.
yeah. So that's kind of pretty much where we're at right now. I guess my final summation would be Moffat is really good at putting in a lot of individual story ideas, lots of interesting imagery, lots of beautiful set design, but very little story to connect it all together.
Yeah.
Very, very thin story. That's my take.
I am glad that they're doing this as a two-parter instead of rushing it around and doing.
Oh, thank God for that.
You know.
In fact,
And
I've-
we've had that discussion that most of these episodes that they've done in recent years would be better as two-parters.
Yeah. And from what it looks like, based on BBC's announcement of the entire series, it looks like the entire season is made up of nothing but two-parters,
Yeah.
which I think is a good idea.
Yes. Finally.
So while I may not have been all that thrilled with a number of aspects on part 1, yeah, again, I didn't hate it. I'm a
Yeah.
little disappointed, a little bit underwhelmed, but thank goodness they did not rush it to turn it into just a single-parter episode.
Yep. So that's Doctor Who season 9. And now we just have a couple of, we do try to do some follow-up things if we had news from last time or something like that. And this time we really kind of want to follow up, and we want to talk about Beyond the Impact again and the Conditioning movie that is coming out of the UK. As actually they have an Indiegogo campaign going on right now.
And we've been tweeting on that
Yeah.
and posting it on our website, so you can see those individual postings on our website at tggeeks.com.
Yeah, and if you recall, the Conditioning movie it's a horror film with a message, and
A
it's
GLBT horror film.
exactly, and then of course BTI, and both of these are independent filmmakers. Phil Pugh and Joe Capella are for Conditioning, and Jeff Patton for Beyond the Impact, or BTI, and they're both, all three are independent filmmakers, and they rely on their own money as well as Kickstarter or Indiegogo or crowdfunding. And that's kind of what we want to talk about right now, is the importance of independent film. And I wrote an article. It's on the website. Did you want to say something about?
Yes, you can see it. The article will be in our show notes and for this episode, and as it is on our website, tggeeks.com. And the article is called Why is Independent Filmmaking or Indie Filmmaking Important? And I think, I've read this article, and I think you make some really good case here, especially in light of what we just came from.
What we've done in the last several months.
Yeah, what we've been doing for the last several
eyes
months.
Have been open to independent filmmaking.
But somebody at some point during one of our interviews last weekend, there was this whole parallel that was made about this one of the filmmakers, and I cannot remember who it was. It might have actually been more than one. Was making the case about how important it was that they try and get their product out there. I mean, they don't have the connections to the major studios or anything like that, so they're doing it completely on their own, and they're trying to generate a buzz and all that. And I kept thinking, that's us.
Yeah, exactly. We are helping, and we enjoy helping those filmmakers. Now, I want to take a step back from that, because we've written lots of reviews and lots of articles, and we've attended lots of film fests. Now, I said in my article, it's not like we have liked or even enjoyed every single thing that we have watched.
No, there's been one or two that I did not like at all.
There's been some that we didn't like. And if we like it, we write a review, or we will push it. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything.
No.
But we really appreciate talking about and helping those filmmakers that are within our wheelhouse of interest.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-fi,
horror.
Some horror. Our eyes were opened about horror.
I think we have. I think in terms of horror, we have a wider spectrum, but definitely sci-fi. Like when we attended Phoenix Love Sci-Fi Film Fest last summer.
So we enjoy talking to those filmmakers, helping those filmmakers, getting the word out. I mean, our little podcast and our little website, and through Facebook and whatnot like that. But it's the people that we are connected to, and the more connections that we have, the more connections they have. And that's why it's important to support independent filmmakers. If they have a Kickstarter campaign or a crowdfunding campaign of some kind, whether it's Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or, Joe's crowdfunding, whatever it is, it's important to go support them if you are a fan of that filmmaker, or you have seen their work, or even you just want to take a chance.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do. You can be involved for as little as $1.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one for Conditioning, because of the conversion, it's a little bit more than $1. If you give them $1, it's like $1.20 or something like that. But it's not that big a deal. You can get a thank you. You can get your name in the credits. You can support them. Give them $20. I mean, the one for Conditioning, their whole budget is £750.
That's not much.
That's not much, and that's just to cover some location fees and some props that they're going to have to do, and some of the rental on some of the cameras that they're doing, and some of the things. So that they don't take a lot of money. They are doing this because they want to do it. That's why we do this webcast, because we want to talk about what we want to talk about and what we enjoy talking about. And you had said something to one of the filmmakers last weekend of, there's two ways of doing something.
Yeah, two ways of being creative or creating something. Yeah, and there's your way and the wrong way.
Yep. And so we're always in favor of doing it your way.
Mm-hmm.
So just go do what you need to do in the way that you need to do it. Make the film the way you want to make it. And that's why independent filmmakers sometimes continue to be independent filmmakers, because they are not tied to a big studio. They're not tied to the big money, the machine that's coming in and telling them how their film will be made. So independent filmmakers are all over the place, everywhere in your hometown, no matter how small your hometown may be.
Mm-hmm.
There are independent filmmakers all over the place. Please support them.
And just to qualify something that you said, just because we may come across an independent film and filmmaker, and just because we don't like it, that does not invalidate it.
No, absolutely
does not invalidate what they're doing.
I did not want to give that impression
right.
at all.
Absolutely. I mean, just because we don't like it doesn't mean that it isn't good.
That it's not just our taste.
No, but they still have every right to and every desire to want to see their vision, whatever it may be, come to some kind of fruition, to be actually have it made, and to and ultimately, why is an independent filmmaker making a short film? They're creating something because they want to share it with the people.
Exactly.
They figure that there's an audience out there somewhere, and they want to share. This is my little contribution to this sci-fi universe, or this horror universe, or this fantasy universe, or whatever. This is my little bit. I want to share with it. I want people to see. I want people to hear what it is that I'm doing. And for that reason alone, yeah, I think independent filmmakers should be supported because, as you pointed out, they're not tied to the major studio. I mean, that's one of the big reasons that Jeff Patton decided to go very independent when he started with Origin Beyond the Impact. I mean, he had this idea when he was going to put this together. He even approached the studio. I mean, he's got the connections.
Yeah.
He even approached the studio,
and they several people said, "Oh yeah, we'll take it," but he wanted absolute control, and they were unwilling to do that.
They were unwilling to do that. He wanted to cast unknowns. He wanted to cast actors who were just coming out of like acting school or who were not professional actors. That was kind of the vision that he had. He already had in his head who all the characters were going to be, and he knew already ahead of time the kind of actors he wanted to play those parts. And yet if Hollywood, if the machine, if the studio, the industry, if they had gotten involved, then they would have ruined that. They would have gotten in the way. He didn't want that, so he decided to go independent just to prove a point.
Yep.
And as people have heard us just completely wax on about how the first installment of BTI went, I mean, we loved it. So clearly Jeff knows what he's doing, but at the same time, just because he knows what he's doing doesn't mean the studio is going to agree with him.
Exactly.
They're gonna want to do it their way because at the end of the day, for them, it's all about dollar signs.
Absolutely. And in our show notes for this episode, there will be the Kickstarter link for BTI and the Indiegogo campaign for conditioning. And please consider giving to those. And I'm going to throw this out there. If you would like for us to retweet a crowdfunding campaign, we will be happy to do that. Send us a direct message on Twitter, and we will retweet your crowdfunding campaign.
I just want to add one little thing here, and just as a last bit of follow-up. Personal thanks to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek. Thank you.
Thank you very
thank you,
much.
Because you are allowing us to post these episodes on that Facebook group, and the URL is facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek. And thank you, because that helps get the word out even more. I mean, there's a lot, especially talking about conditioning.
Yep.
I mean,
exactly.
That is something that I really firmly believe that other gay geeks will be very much into. So So for the Facebook group Gay Geek, thank you very much for allowing us to express our interests, our passions, especially our talk about independent filmmaking. We think it's important. So thank you for allowing us to post our episodes there.
Absolutely. Thank you. Up next week, well, who knows? We might have an interesting interview for you.
Maybe.
Stay tuned. Hopefully.
Maybe.
We got something on the calendar, so we'll see what happens. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out our article for this webcast. We're going to have several links on the page and several other things, the show notes, etc. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.